And I'm going to quickly summarize or talk a little bit about what we think about the potential that we see in decentralized storage. And quick introduction to us. My name is Lasse Clausen, and I run a early stage protocol fund called 1KX together with Chris. He really is the main organizer of this, so all credit to him. Yeah, we're a very early stage protocol fund, so we exclusively invest in open source tokenized networks. We don't invest in exchanges or anything that has a business model. The headline actually, the clickbait headline of us is actually that even a shitty token is better than a business model. For a variety of reasons, but I think just the incentive structures of for-profit companies are not very aligned, especially for large software networks. I'll get into more detail with that. It's Chris and me, and then we have two fantastic researchers. Jakob Eberhard will also be giving a talk just now. Aiden Musnitsky, I think he won with Billy Renkamp from Cosmos, the ETH Denver Hackathon, is building the ETH Cosmos bridge. And then we have Bethany, who's also here today, who helps us keep the whole thing together operationally. And I think we have some really helpful investors. One is Dragonfly Capital Partners. They, in turn, their investors are the founders of Andreessen Horowitz, of Baidu, the Chinese search engine, etc. We're also the co-organizers of ETH Berlin and the initiators, co-initiators of this Berlin Blockchain Week. And so blockchains enable many different things, quite exciting, DeFi, etc., but they also enable Web3. And for us, decentralization is not just a buzzword, it's actually means to an end. It's security and sovereignty. And software is eating the world and becoming ever more important. And for large-scale software networks of high public importance, we think that the classic vertical cooperation isn't suited anymore because of two reasons. And the first one is complexity. Just vertical organizations have a limit of software complexity they can handle. And then you can see, for example, with Equifax that after a certain size, just some pretty serious mistakes are bound to happen. And the second and probably more important one is the incentives. So a for-profit company ultimately just wants to sell the cheapest things for the highest price in the quickest way. And in the specific case of Boeing, they try to beat Airbus to the market in that particular segment of jets, while outsourcing a critical software functionality to temporary developers as a cost-cutting tactic, which is directly attributed to the two fatal crashes that happened. And more specifically, Web3 enables protocol marketplaces to replace monolithic service providers like AWS and Microsoft Cloud. So instead of a company, an open source fee-less protocol coordinates the supply of computing and data storage resources. And what's very exciting about this is the perfect competition and innovation that is enabled on the supply side. Anybody can become a supplier within hours. There are no negotiations and no agreements to sign. Transaction costs are near zero, and since all the rules and possible behaviors are encoded in the protocol, no trust costs are incurred for monitoring and enforcing against malicious behavior. And we have one market where we saw this result in an unprecedented innovation surge, and that's Bitcoin mining. The global competition for proof-of-work computation that is open for anyone in the world to participate and innovate on has increased the mining efficiency 130-fold in the last 6 years only, and that's since the beginning of ASICs. So that's not counting the efficiency improved from CPU to ASICs, that's just ASICs. And we expect this open and permissionless innovation on the supply side to become a game changer for cloud computing and for Web3 protocols to completely disrupt and disintermediate the market. And this concept can actually happen today already, where, for example, you have mountains of disk drive from China that could be recycled and plugged in immediately into Saya and Arweave. What's also a very big factor for Web3 is that developers aren't stupid anymore. Developer integrity matters. It means that a software engineer needs to know that a platform can't just cut off his access after they've built on it and enriched it for years. And the principle is that on Web3 platforms, it is technically impossible to stop your protocol or platform. Another concept that I heard first, I think Arweave brought this, is the of consumer integrity. So creating a technology that makes it impossible to withhold the content and data that others have created for the purpose of centralized profit. So seriously, stop blogging on Medium. And another pretty important factor is our employees. So it happens that the Snowden revelations were very good for the world, but what if an employee at AWS starts to do similar things just because he's disgruntled? Because also considering that actually the incentives of the employee and the company are directly opposed. The company wants to pay him as little as possible, he wants to get as much money as possible, etc. So this might actually just be a matter of time. Thank you very much. And next up we have Jakob doing an introduction to the problems of decentralized storage. Thank you.